Today we are continuing the basics of human heart. Before going in a detail, let's revise some basics of human heart. We have seen in the earlier video that I have make you understand the diagram of the heart on this diagram only. So today we are going to continue on the same. This is a human heart. The base of heart is more thick. This is superior vena cava, and this is inferior vena cava, inferior vena cava. And from the basics, we know there is a four chamber of heart. The upper ones are called arteria, and the lower ones are called ventrica. And the arteries are more smaller than the ventricles. And we also know that there is a thin wall present between the two arteria, which we called atrial septum. And there is a thick wall present between the two ventricle, and we call this ventricular septum. And there is also wall present between the arteria and ventricle, but these openings are guarded by the walls. Let me give the names of chamber. This is called atria, ventricle. I also told you in my last video how to understand the sides of the chamber. This is going to the left arteria, and this is going to the right arteria and right ventricle. There is an opening between the artery and the ventricle which is guarded by the wall, which have also a specific name. Like there is a wall, there is three wall present between the right atria and right ventricle. So we call this tricuspid wall, because the walls are made by cuspids, and there are three cuspids in between the right atria and the right ventricle. So we are calling this tricuspid wall. And because there is only two wall present between the left artery and the left ventricle, so we are calling this bicuspid wall. But what we have to remember, that we can also call this mitral wall. Means there is two names of bicuspid wall. The one is bicuspid wall itself, and second is mitral wall. So you have to remember the both of the names. So is the heart exactly look like this? No, the heart is a more complex structure. See what we have left. There is an opening coming from the right ventricle. What is this? This is pulmonary wall. Let me remove this to make a beautiful heart diagram. And there is also opening from left ventricular. So now you can see there is a two opening from the right ventricular and left ventricular. These are called, what are these? These are arc of aorta, and this is pulmonary wall. Sorry, this is pulmonary artery. From the basics, we know the pulmonary artery and the arc of aorta is also guarded by a wall which have structure like a half moon. That's why we call semi-lunar walls. Semi-lunar walls. Both the arc of aorta and the pulmonary wall, both walls are called semi-lunar walls. What is heart? Heart is a pumping organ in our body made up of cardiac muscles. The God made the structure in such a way that there is a current generated in the heart which allows heart to the beat. And it all happens due to action and potential. The current generates in the heart is by the help of action and potential. Now we are going to see how the action potential is going to work in a heart. There is a lot of fibers are distributed in the heart in such a way that a current can pass in the heart. Is like this is a room. The room has too many bulbs. The room has too many bulbs and electric appliances like fan and all. But to run all the bulb and the fan, we need a current, and to flow the current, we need a wire. Like same in a heart, for the contraction of a heart, we need a wire so that the current can flow through whole heart. Let's see how the wire is distributed in all over the heart and how it is going to work. See, before understanding the wires of the heart, please understand the fibers. What are fibers? Fibers are the structure in biology which has a similar structures like fiber but made up of biological cells. And the group of these cells, wherever the group of these cells are present, we call this node. So what are node? Node are the specialized group of cells which allow currents or which generates current. So in the heart, there is a node present near the sinus. Now what is sinus? There is superior vena cava. The blood coming from the superior vena cava from an opening which is called sinus. All the blood come from the sinus, and there is a node present near the sinus which is called sinus node. Or in actual what we call sinoatrial node, SAN. And there is another node present near the ventricular, but because it is present between the atria and ventricular, so we call this atrioventricular node. It is little messy here. So what is this? This is atrioventricular node, or in general what we say AVN. Now this SAN and AVN has the fibers which is distributed all over in the heart. Like how it is distributed? The SAN has fibers which is connected to AVN, and the AVN has fiber which is connected to the present between the both atria, present in the wall which separate the both atria, and then it is distributed in the lower side in the wall present between the both ventricular, and then it is distributed in all over the heart. I guess it is little messy. Let me rub all and teach you again. Heart. This is the thicker side of heart. The two chambered and this is right atria, this is right ventricular, this is left atria, this is left ventricular. So there is a sinus from which the blood is coming from the superior vena cava, and there is a node present near the sinus. That's why we call this sinoatrial. Because this sinus is present in the atria, that's why we call this sinoatrial node. And in general, we call this SAN node. And there is another node present near the ventricular. It is present in the atria, but it is very near to ventricular. That's why the scientists give this name atrioventricular node. or in general we say AVN. Now there is a fiber coming from the sinus which attached to the vein AVN. Then this fiber continues and going to the wall between the both atria. Then it distributed in both atrioventricular septum. Then it continued to the thick wall of the ventricular wall, and then it distributed all over the heart. And there is another branch of this fiber, and these branches are called Purkinje fiber. Distributed in both sides like a tree roots, and the whole fibers are called the whole fibers, including both right and left side called bundle of His. The fibers are run in the bundle, that's why we call the bundle of His. What actually these fibers do? The fibers carry the action potential and allow the heart to beat. How this works? Let's see. This is our brain. Our brain send a neurotransmitter to the sinoatrial node to generate action potential, and then the sinoatrial node generates action potential. What exactly mean the action potential? At your level you can understand the action potential are like current which allow the heart muscles to contract. So the sinoatrial nodes generate action potential which travel to the AVN, through the AVN, and then through AVN it travel to the first thin wall, then to the atrioventricular septum, and then thick wall, and then all over the heart. And these action potential helps heart to contract hardly, and which allows the heart to pump out the blood. So now what we have to understand is the action potential generated by the SA node. The action potential generated by the SA node generates by the SA node is 70 to 75 beats, or we can say action potential every minute. Means the SA node can generate action potential 70 to 75 times in a 1 minute. I hope I make this concept very easy for you. However, if you have any doubts, you can put your doubts in the comment. I'm glad to answer all the questions. And one more thing, because the SAN generate all the action potential, and the SAN is the father of heart because it allows the heart to make the movements like our father do for us. That's why we call this pacemaker. Pacemaker means Papa. Because SN control all the contractility of heart and the beatness of the heart, that's why we call the SN is a pacemaker, like Papa do in our home. Like Papa control all the movement of child in our home. It's the same, the pacemaker control all the movement in the heart, and which is SAN.